and welcome to another card by Jennifer Miner Cards. Today we'll be making this really darling distressed Irish flag and shamrock card. To begin, I start distressing a thin strip of orange cardstock, and I start my distressing with Spice Marmalade Distress ink, and you can see just that working from the edge and bringing the color in to the central part of the cardstock, and moving on to the Vintage Photo Distress ink. Here you can see that I'm really working adding the color to the very edge of my cardstock. Once I have that as I'd like it, I can lay that down and then bring that distress ink colors more to the center of my piece of cardstock. And at this point, I could tell I wanted it to be a little bit darker, so I went ahead and added an additional layer with the walnut stain distress ink. Again, focusing primarily on the edges. I don't want to cover all of the orange or take away kind of from that brightness in the center of it, but it felt like it needed to be a little more distressed. And now we'll move on to the green cardstock, which is the left portion of my Irish flag. And here I am distressing with the Pine Needles Distress ink. And you can see really quickly this goes from being a bright, vibrant piece of cardstock to just in a few easy steps, a nice distressed piece of cardstock with a lot of color depth and variation. And here I am adding the walnut stain. Again, focusing primarily on the edge of the green cardstock. Want to kind of make it comparable to that orange piece that I worked on earlier. Working that edge. And now you'll see I'm going to clean my space really quick because I'm going to move to a white shade of cardstock. This is Vina in Solar White. And I'm starting my distressing process here with the Antique Linen Distress ink, kind of the lightest value that I use of the distress inks. And cleaning that space was really important so that I don't transfer any green or orange to my white. And now I've just finished with the Antique Linen, and I'm moving over to the Vintage Photo Distress ink, again working from the outside in. And focusing greater intensity right on that edge. And then I have my Irish flag. And for my next step, I used my Silhouette Cameo to cut out a shamrock shape out of that same bright green cardstock. And at this point, I'm just checking the size as it compares to my flag. I'm going to go ahead and distress that with the Pine Needles Distress ink, and again my rectangular ink blending tool. I know at this point that I'm going to add some glitter and glossy accents to this, but I know that you can still see the shading through those mediums, so that's why I'm taking that extra time just to distress this and make it match the flag a little bit. And now once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and grab that Rock Candy Distress Stickles, and I'm almost at the end of my bottle here, so I'm kind of trying to eke out as much as I can. And as you can see, I kind of lay down a large blob of the distress stickles and then use the tip of my tool to spread that around, adding wherever I need to. And this is one of my all-time favorite products. I really like the glitter finish without having the glitter shedding that you get with traditional glitter. And so once I've got pretty much my whole shamrock covered, I'm going to go ahead and take my finger and just spread that glitter around the distress stickles so that it's even. On a large die cut like this, you can kind of get some thin or thick places. And now I'm going to start the process of assembling my flag. And so I'm taking each of those strips, utilizing my Scotch ATG gun, and just adhering those to a piece of white cardstock. This allows me a little more control over the creation, and then since I know that this is larger, I will trim down this white. I don't have to be exact perfect. I can trim that down once I'm finished with that. So you can see here that I've trimmed it, and now I'm applying adhesive and adhering that to a brown piece of cardstock. Again, a slightly larger than I want my finished size, so I can take that and trim it down. At this point, I have allowed my distress stickles to dry, and I wanted to create kind of a trapped glitter look. And to do this, I'm going to add a coat of glossy accents from Ranger on top of the rock candy. I just kind of like the way that it looks, like a resin over the glitter. Again, this is another go-to favorite tool of mine, the glossy accents, that is. So just take a little bit of time, apply the glossy accents in an even as possible coat. The hardest thing for me with glossy accents is really and truly leaving it alone long enough for it to dry, and this I did leave overnight so that the next day when I came back, I wasn't putting fingerprints or smudges into the glossy accents. And then once that's completed and dried, assemble that on my card utilizing Pop Dots. Just took 5 little ones, applied them to the back, and gave that depth and dimension. And there you have a really simple, very quick, cute, high impact St. Patrick's Day card.